I've recently decided to put together some tutorials on trim. These videos are going to be short, 10 minutes or less. What you need to do is go to my channel, subscribe while you're there, go to my playlist, look for trim tutorials. These videos are going to be short, 10 minutes or less, and they're going to pinpoint specific things that you need to know about installing your trim. These videos are for DIYers. They are not necessarily for professionals. It's not a professional showing another professional, hey, this is the trick I can do with trim, check this out. This is for you, to give you the confidence and the courage that you need to install your own trim. Whether it be baseboard moldings, casement moldings, or crown moldings, we're going to cover everything in 10-minute or less videos so that you can get it done. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Deerdorf and this is Detroit DIY. Today we're going to caulk this baseboard molding, so let's get started. First of all, let's talk about what we need to get the job done. We need some trim and molding caulk. This is a DAP product and it is for trim and molding. It's water cleanup, very easy to use. It's very easy for beginners because it is water cleanup, so if you get too much on there, it is easy to get it off. We're going to need a caulk gun. I prefer to use a razor knife to cut the tip and not the cutter in the caulk gun. We're going to need a rag and a low water. The first thing we're going to need to do is cut our tip, and we want to cut this on an angle, about a 45-degree angle, and we want a very small opening. So start small, just take your razor knife, start small and cut that on an angle. If the hole is too small, you can always make it bigger, but you can never make it smaller. That is about what we want, a very small hole in the end of it. Now we're going to take our caulk gun here and we're going to use the rod that's on the side of it to poke a hole in the foil of the caulk. There's foil in there to preserve it. Oh, this one doesn't have the foil, so we're good to go. If you've never used the caulk gun, it has a serrated teeth on one side. In order to use the caulk gun or make it operate, you have to turn those serrated teeth down so that the handle can engage into them. To release the pressure, you turn it the other way and pull it back. So we want it pulled all the way back before we insert our tube. And we're going to do that by setting it in the bottom first and then laying it in. Then we just push this forward, turn it around, and we're ready to go. Now the reason we want to caulk the trim is to close up any gaps. We don't want debris falling in there. We don't want that gap open all the time. When you paint it, the paint will bridge over temporarily and then it'll break apart. And it just won't give you that look that you want. So let's get this caulk on. I find it easier when I'm caulking to pull the caulk gun towards me, not to push it away from me. So we're going to start right here, and what you want to do is just get a little squeeze, get a little pressure on it. You see it just kind of shoot out there. Clean off your tip a little bit, get it good to go. You want that 45-degree angle that you cut in your tip to be right tight in the edge. And we just want to put a thin line, just like that. When you're finished, release the pressure on your caulk gun. Now what we want to do is just kind of take our finger and run it down through there and push that in. Don't worry about the overage, no big deal. You'll have a little blob on your finger like that when you're done. Wipe that off on your rag. Now take a clean spot of your rag and just come through here and give this a good wipe all the way down. Give it a second wipe in places if it's needed. Just kind of get all that extra right off of there. There you have it. It's just kind of that easy. Let's do the other side. So this side does have a small gap right across the top, and the other side also has another one. We'll show that. So we're going to do the same thing. Just get your caulk gun in there. Lay down a nice little bead. Release your pressure by turning the handle. Just run it through with your finger. Your finger is going to push that caulk down in that crack and fill it up very nicely. Now I'm going to take my rag and rinse it off in the bucket, and then we'll get that wiped down. So now it's the same thing. Just take the wet rag, pull it down through here, get all that caulk cleaned off. The only thing you want is the caulk in the gap itself. We want to pay special attention to this inside corner. We do not want a bunch of caulk built up in there. So what we want to do is just kind of take your little finger and run it through there and get as much of that out as you can. Then take a nice clean spot on your rag and just kind of work it tight into that corner and just get it cleaned up as good as you can. There we go. Same thing here. You can see this small gap, and this is the whole reason that we're caulking. So let's get a little bit in there. Take our finger, get that pressed in there really good. And then we're going to come back over it. And you're going to go through a few rags doing this. Use some old junk rag or some cheap rags. So as you can see, the crack is gone. Once we get some paint on there, that'll be beautiful. Now last but not least, if you have any gaps in your corners where you coped them, you can caulk that in at this point in time if you so desire. If it's a hardwood caulk, obviously you need to have a superior fit, but for painted, we're going to go ahead and we're going to lay a little bead in here and get that cleaned up also. And that's all there is to it. And the same thing, we're going to take our finger, we're going to run it through here, pull it in there real nice and tight. If you have any excess buildup down here at the bottom like this, just take your razor knife and kind of reach in there and get it and lift it right out of the way. The same thing for any of the detail in the molding. Just lightly slide your razor knife across that and clean that right out. You don't necessarily have to use a razor knife. You can use anything that has a nice thin edge on it. Now let's take our damp cloth and get that cleaned up. And there we have it. The outside corner here will be getting no caulk. That is a nice tight fit and nothing to worry about. We got a little paint flaking right there, but no big deal. I'm going to get this painted up and we're going to come back and look at the final product. The paint is all touched up. The inside corner is nice and tight. Everything is looking really good. The outside corner has no gaps. Turned out really good. This is an easy job to do and something that you can do yourself. That's all we got for this time. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below the video, or I'll put my email address right here. You can email them to me. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of those two videos. They're going to pop up right there. I'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.